Joe. First I want to give you a little bit of heads up on an up and coming red carpet presentation that's coming out on August 27th at 7 o'clock at Worcester State University, the Fuller Theater. That's located in the administration building. There's going to be a red carpet premiere. It's a benefit night for Yes We Care, Net of Compassion, and Women in Action. So everybody set your calendar, set all your memos, set everything that's going to let you know that at August 27th at 7 o'clock at Worcester State University's Fuller Theater, come to the Miracle in Action. Alright. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I hope everybody's having a great day and everything. Today we're going to talk a little bit about morals. A little bit about morals. We're going to start off, it might not seem like these are moral issues, but in some cases they are moral issues. It's suffering, right? There's global suffering. That's like earthquakes, disease, tsunamis, big old things you really don't have any control of. Then we got more personal type of sufferings. That's like famine, war, and things of those stuff. And then we got these other sufferings that a lot of people are subjected to, and they're really the individual type of sufferings that really aren't that are just nasty. Murder, rape, and assaults, things of that matter. Prejudices, racism, all those type of things are individual type of sufferings, both given and taken. Some people suffer horribly. Some people don't suffer at all, or at least they don't think they suffer. Those people that suffer horribly, those are those people that more so come from the first two, the global suffering of earthquake or something like that, like in Haiti. That was some horrible type of suffering that the people had to go through. Many people died, many people lost limbs, many people lost loved ones. So the suffering was really traumatic and stuff. And then it was compounded by the disease that came after that, the cholera and stuff, which was accidentally imposed upon those people. And I know everybody say, well, what's this got to do with chivalry? It's a chivalrous act that I'm going to try to relate some of these sufferings to, that people themselves can do. A lot of people, like with the Haiti incident, they rushed right over there to help out, and in actuality they just got in the way. There was too many people helping out, so the real aid was taken aback. And by that I mean it didn't get to the people really in time to help the people. It got there eventually, but it didn't get there when the right after the initial incident took place. So a lot of people were left to fend for themselves with suffering, and the people that rushed in there, they were trapped. They had no equipment, they had no place to stay, they had no food or water for themselves or shelter for themselves. They went into a place that was devastated. So they really weren't able to render any aid anyway. They actually became part of the suffering. They would fit right into the war and famine category themselves, even though they went in there with an altruistic type of attitude. And it was very chivalrous of them on a big part, but it wasn't chivalry as in the real, what I think is the real meaning of chivalry, a privilege to do something for someone else. This was a privilege to help somebody in some senses, but it was more of an empathetic rush of adrenaline to get over there, and the people themselves may have wanted, it was more about them than it was about the people that were over there. So this is the connection between chivalry. A lot of people in a lot of different things always think that they're doing something chivalrous to help somebody. They don't call it chivalry, they call it a lot of other words, empathy, compassion, sympathy, whatever they want to call it. It all stems from a chivalrous movement. So, and all these three categories, right? There's no real difference in these three categories when you think about it from chivalry, because the bottom line is the way people see and treat people. You know, that's the bottom line with the chivalry. If the earthquake in Haiti, a lot of people saw this here as, like I said, from their own perspective, their own, I'm going to help and stuff because I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. They didn't see the people as people that really needed help. They said the people were people that really needed help. They saw the people not as people, but as something that was traumatic happening at the time, a big thing, and they were going to go in there, and because they were much more than someone else, and help out, which is all right for the people, but it's not really a chivalrous type of thing, you know, because when it comes right down to it, chivalry is a privilege of doing the right thing, of helping somebody, you know. It's a privilege to be able to go into someone else's country, I'm staying on the big issue, and help out. You know, that's a privilege. You know, it just, everybody just can't go in there and help out. It's just, as we said, it didn't work. They became casualties themselves. Not casualties, but they compounded the trauma because they became victims of the earthquake, even though they weren't there at the onset of the earthquake. They still were part of that need to be helped out. They needed to be fed. They needed to have places to wash up. They needed to have food, things like that. But as people, we have free will, even when the situation is horrible, such as a murder or rape. We're going down a little bit now, you know. We have free will, and I'm talking about the person committing the murder or the rape. They still have free will. You know? They can choose which course they want to take. They can choose whether they're going to murder somebody, or they're going to rape somebody, or they're going to do something. You know, that's a choice. They know right from wrong. Most people, unless they really have some mental difficulties, because I know this, well, what if they don't understand right from wrong? I'm just talking about the people who understand right from wrong. Like, if somebody understands, ah, man, my life is really depressed and it's down, I don't have a job, I don't have no money, I got bill collectors calling me all the time, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to rob a bank. Alright, you can go rob that bank if you want to, or you can choose not to rob that bank. You can choose, you don't know what to do, so I'm going to find a different avenue to take to do something, you know. But this is where the choice comes in. They can rob the bank if they want to. And is that keeping within a chivalrous mindset? No. Nah, there's no privilege there in helping out themselves, nor anybody who's looking to them as somebody that's going to help them out. You know, even in your darkest moments, you can still maintain a choice to help out somebody, and that little bit of choice to help out somebody might just be enough to make you say, no, I'm not going to rob the bank. I think I'll go down here and try this and try that. You know, and you've already been a chivalrous individual. Somebody might come to your aid and notice that, hey, you all right? You need some help or something like that? Nothing wrong with taking help. As long as you take help and get yourself back to the position where you can be all right. Yeah? And that's the privilege. But can they go rob the bank? Sure. And if they don't rob the bank, people will say, oh man, you know, that was a good decision you made not to rob the bank. But if they do rob the bank, then that's not such a good decision, you know, according to society. according to them, if they robbed the bank and got away with it, all their troubles were alleviated. They no longer had all these problems and everything, at least for a little while, because their judgment was wrong in the first place. There was nothing in there. They did not choose the right. They totally chose the wrong, and even though the wrong helped them in the first instance of helping them to get rid of what they wanted to do. That they're not a chivalrous individual. They're selfish, kind of, look at me, it's all about me. This is the easiest way for me to make my life better. Alright? And you know, this is just a thing with suffering. It's the same thing. I went to rob the bank because it would be a little bit harder to talk about raping or murdering and making a decision not to murder. You know, people make those decisions more frequently than you think. You know, and people make those decisions on not to rape more frequently than you think. I think there's some people might be making those decisions right now. Let me look out the window. No, everything good. Yeah, and people, you might even be caught in a situation where you have to make that decision. You might be driving home and get in a car accident, and the first thing you got blindsided by somebody because they was talking on their telephone or texting and stuff. First thing you want to do is jump out of there and kill them. Now you got to make that decision. Do I kill him or what? Now the thing that's a chivalrous thing to do is what I would call make sure that the situation's in a safe and stable position. The first thing that you would want to do is jump out there and say, are you okay? You alright? Make sure that everybody's alright. That would be the chivalrous thing to do, because you'd nullify your own anger that would have come from an adrenaline rush. You know, and then if somebody wasn't okay, you could render some aid to that person, and the situation could become a situation of less need. You know, you don't have to kill them. You could choose to kill them, you know, but consequences are consequences. You're really going to get in trouble for killing people for a fender bender. So I suggest nobody kill anybody if you get in a fender bender out there with the car. Just ask them if they're all right, in a sincere manner, in a chivalrous manner, from the heart, to say, are you all right? Because you don't know, they might have had a heart attack while they were driving, and that's why they hit you. You have no idea what that person was doing. That's why in chivalry it's a privilege to be able to do what's right and help people, and to see people as people. You know, I can't emphasize that enough. They could have had a seizure. You really don't know. Now, you will assume that these dirty, no good, sorry epaulets all over the place for about a half hour. I'm going to tear their lips off, and I'm going to put them on their eyes so they'll see me punching them in the mouth. You know, that might be your first reaction to these things, but you don't have to go there. So, some sufferings have no human cause, right? Like I was talking about before, like the hurricanes and the earthquakes and stuff. There's no humans involved in why this suffering took place. It just happened. You know, you lived on a fault line, so you know, you lived on an inactive volcano and it blew up. So these are other things, but you can't do anything about that. You can't hold anybody at fault. You can. I don't really like going to religion, but you can say, well, where's God in all this here? How come He made this earthquake happen to me? Yeah, it's all about you anyway. So maybe you were deserving. I don't know. Maybe you just were in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know. Just like the tornado that touched down here in Concord the other day. You know why? Why did that happen? I don't know. It just happened. I can give you that the two fronts came together and the different pressures and all this, and it started swirling and it caused a tornado to touch down. And that's what happened. But why? I don't know. I don't know. But there are other situations, other sufferings that are caused that we may have a choice in how we approach and react to. And these are wars, prejudices, and racism. Right? Yet again, we have a choice in how we accept or reject these things on a personal level. Alright, I'm gonna play a little song for you, because I got Will right here from the 5 o'clock shadow. Will might be saying something to you, I don't know. Y'all can see Will, he's sitting right there, looking all reverend. He's the reverend. Boy, Reverend, you want to say a few words for the people there, good Reverend?
What's going on, people? Thank you all for tuning in to 7avradio.com. You can check out my show, The 5 O'Clock Shadow, Monday through Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. at 7avradio.com.
Alright. Now let's play a little happy.
Alright.
Yeah, I'm going to play some happy, because this is a little happy, because I know everybody was feeling a little sad about all those sufferings that go on about in the big picture there, the big global sufferings and the big murder sufferings and stuff. But now we're going to talk a little bit, like I said, we're going to talk about war, a little bit, prejudices and racism. Yeah? Yet again, we have choices in how we accept or reject these things. You know, it's basically interacting with people. You know, we have choices on how we interact with people. Chivalry gives us the means to interact with people as a privilege, you know, to see people as people. You know, not to see people as having prejudices, or not to see people as having a racist attitude. Even though they do, that's quite all right. We can see them as a person. You know, you're still a person. You know, I may not, or I do not even condone in a little fashion the way that your mind works, but that's quite all right. You're still a person. And that's where the chivalry comes in, because it's a mental reward that you're going to glean from this. Huh? It's not going to be too much in the physical. It's going to be, like I say, more in the mental. Yeah, because we can choose to condone war. You know, we do it all the time in America. We can choose to condone prejudice. We can choose to condone racism. We can choose to agree with all these things simply by turning a blind eye to them, or even a non-vocal voice, you know, voicing support. We can talk about supporting it too, or we can do absolutely nothing. We can turn a blind eye to them. Or we can choose to never treat people the way these evils would have us do. You know, we don't have to treat people in the way that war dictates. We don't have to treat people in the way that prejudices dictate. And we certainly don't have to treat people in a racist kind of fashion. We don't have to do that. Alright folks, I know, get ready, get your libation, sit down, get all comfortable and everything, because I'm going to read a little bit to you. That's right. From my book that I really enjoy, Aesop's Fables. I like this book. I know, you say, well, it's a child's book. Yeah, it's a child if you're my age, but but it's a little bit deeper than a child. I'm going to read this story to you. I might read two, but I'm going to read this one to you first. It's called The Lion and the Ass. Alright? A lion and an ass set up a partnership and went hunting together. In course of time, they came to a cave in which there were numbers of wild goats. The lion took up his stand at the mouth of the cave and waited for them to come out, while the ass went inside and bayed for all he was worth in order to frighten them out into the open. The lion struck them down one by one as they appeared. And when the cave was empty, the ass came out and said, "Well, I scared them pretty well, didn't I?" "I think you did," said the lion. "Why, if I hadn't known you were an ass, I should have turned and ran myself. This is a little fable like that has to do with the way people are manipulated and moved by somebody else's needs or somebody else's prejudices or racism. You know, this lion no more cared about that ass than anybody else did. He just saw an opportunity to use somebody else to gain what he wanted. He wanted to eat. And with the partnership set up with the ass, who didn't get any food, then they're out there hunting. The ass go in there and make a complete ass out of himself with a lot of noise and everything. And then he want to come out, the ass, and be praised for how well he scared everybody. And the lion, I guess he just couldn't hold back and had to say the truth. Why? If I hadn't known you were an ass, I should have turned and ran myself. You know, it's like, thank you so very, very much. And this is what happens when people fall into to those areas of prejudice and racism and stuff. You become the ass. You know, you're being manipulated by somebody to do their bidding and everything, and you get nothing in return. And you can come out there looking for praise from this person who has just totally used you for their own whatever they were trying to glean from this, and you know, you can even be talked to from that person in that same kind of tone. The lion literally told him, "Yeah, you an ass. You just nothing to me. You just had over there made a complete fool out of yourself, and I got to eat all the goats." You know, yeah, and that's how that racism and prejudices work. We hear what goes on in the news, and we internalize everything that goes on in the news simply so we can say something is off color or off whatever it is. Well, I scared them pretty well, didn't I? You know, it's like looking for that praise or something because you have no idea what the situation was all about. You're being manipulated by some people for their own gains. And I'm sure when there's prejudice and racism involved in things, somebody's making money. You know, I'm 100% sure of that, because there's nothing else that really can come out of that for that person who's trying to manipulate you. They're getting fed. You're getting to act like an ass. You can make a lot of noises, you can make a lot of screams, and they do absolutely nothing. You're not scaring anybody. You know, you might, you know, you went into the cave and you might scare some people out, sort of. But you know, anyway, the person who is manipulating you, they're making all the gains, and you're not getting anything for it. There's no food on that plate. So these are things where chivalry really comes into play. There's a like I say, a privilege to doing the right thing and seeing people as people and helping people out with little itty bitty things, a hello, a smile, a hold the door. It doesn't matter what they look like or what their beliefs are. You can't see their beliefs anyway. You can hold the door for the biggest mass murderer, for the biggest racist, the biggest anything. You won't know it. Yeah? You have no idea what their prejudices are until they open their mouth. Or maybe you read it on the newspaper or something, and I'm not even sure if a lot of people are going to find out if they read it on the newspaper. And then there's other people who you might think that you're really on their side, and you're really trying to get them to pat you on the back and tell you how great and wonderful a job that you did, and all they're doing is taking advantage of you for their own gain. It's a tricky situation. Does racism and prejudice exist? Most definitely. Most definitely. But the chivalry, is that a weapon to combat racism and prejudices? That too is most definitely. Because if you're being chivalrous and you're treating people like people, your heart doesn't have any room to just be worrying about what their ideology is or anything like that. It's just not enough of it left over for you to care. So, with that, people, that's the first type of way that we can condone these prejudices and racism and make them happen is by, one, turning a blind eye to them. You don't want to make believe that they don't exist. They do exist, but you don't want to give them the big seat at the table. And two, even voicing support. You don't want to support it. You might have some reasons to want to feel bad about the people who live over across the street. They might have broke your car windows and stuff, so you don't like the Joneses or the Smiths, But to say that you really put everybody who looks like Joneses and Smith in that same category, it really, you don't need to voice that support. So that's the first thing. Then, or else, there's the second way of dealing with these type of situations. You can choose to never treat people the way, like I said, these evils would have us. And yes, these evils are accepting. They're accepting evils. They're accepting evil that is wrong, but still a choice you are able to make. Those evils that come with accepting and condoning prejudices and racism, they're accepted by everyone. Whether you're a prejudiced person, have prejudices towards this, or whether you're a racist person or not, these are evils that are well accepted, especially in this country. So, you get to choose. You get to choose right from, I guess, once you get older. You don't really see these things happening with children. Children really don't care, They're still in that very, very selfish mode where they don't have chivalry yet. They're still learning. Everything's about them. Give me. I want the popsicle and I want the red one. Well, you can't have it, because I wanted it first or something like that. It's all about them, because they're children. They're young little toddlers, and they need to grow into a life to where they can understand that it's a privilege to say, okay, if you had a red one, I'll take the blue one. Still good. They might like the blue one better, but the privilege is to give the red one away, because that would be the chivalrous thing to do. That's the right. They saw the other person as a person. But those are children. If you take that same attitude and put it on adults who see racism and prejudice and never experienced racism and prejudice, they're only doing it because they teamed up with somebody who making money, or maybe has some other reason for why they have this belief in racism and prejudices. Then you the ass. So all I can say, you the ass, because you working hard for somebody else's benefit and you're not getting anything from it. But that's all right. I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. The first thing, it does exist. These do exist, and you can condone them, or you don't have to condone them. But when you choose the first part, the condoning of these things, or turning a blind eye to them, you lose the ability to be a person. Just like the ass, he lost the ability to eat or be an ass or even gain any kind of recognition for himself. You lose that ability. You become a robot. That's all. You're just like any other robot. You get programmed to do this, and then that's what you're going to do. It's a herd mentality that you've fallen into. And there's many people out there that run into this herd mentality. That's why it's better to choose the second choice. The reason is personal. The person has every person has this from birth, not from birth, well, from childhood. Like I said, once they start to share the popsicle and give the red popsicle to the person because it made them feel better and stuff, that was a privilege. That's an intrinsic moral worth. Everybody has an intrinsic moral worth. We're taught from birth to do that which is morally preferable. It's much more morally preferable to be a nice person and give away the red popsicle and develop your moral worth. You know, this is it. This is what people should do. Many people aren't following in that line right now. You know, they're just walking around like herd animals. They're taking their moral worth and they put it away in a drawer to keep it safe, you know, and they'd gladly take a pat on the back from a fool or anybody else than to do those things which is intrinsically morally right. I mean, look at the politics we got today. We got two people running for politics that is just unbelievably silly. But as far as I'm concerned, Donald Trump, he can't help himself. You know, that boy's not all there. I'm sorry, all you Republicans out there and all you people that think that Donald Trump is going to be the answer to your financial woes from 2008, when you thought that other person was going to be the answer to your financial woes and you would be able to make all this free money and buy free houses, and you found out that that's just not reality. I'm very sorry that Donald Trump is not the answer. Donald Trump is in this for Donald Trump. It's a game to Donald Trump. When the voting's over, Donald Trump will never change his mind or anything. If he wins or loses, the game's over. If he wins, he goes on to game number 2. Whatever that might be, it's still a game. If he loses, he jumps on his Trump airplane and goes home to his Trump tower and breaks out a Trump steak and eats it with his Trump knife and fork. He doesn't really care. And Hillary, it's kind of like a bucket wish for Hillary. She's been trying to, ever since she lost the bid for the presidency back in the day, even before that, ever since her husband ran for presidency, she wanted to be president. Is she presidential? I think Hillary's one of the biggest crooks out there, and I think that if you want somebody who's got the ability to be violent and to be prejudiced and to be somebody who's so vicious that they're able to get away with murder a couple of times, you know, and have everybody apologize for the fact that they had to do these type of things because somebody was assaulting them, then definitely Hillary's your girl. You know, will she take this country into a bad state of being? I believe she will, but I'm not a prophet either, you know, so I can't really tell you what the future's going to hold. But I can tell you, if you chose number 1 as the way you want to do things and condone prejudices and morals, you know, you're not doing the right thing. Because moral and chivalrous things, it's synonymous, they're the same. The privileges, these cannot be measured in a capitalistic society. This is what makes chivalry and morals so powerful. You can't measure them. You can't put a dollar amount on a chivalrous or a moral thing that you do. There is no dollar amount to that. The feeling's intrinsic. It's within you. You feel good. You know, you feel that privilege of doing something for somebody else. But obviously with the taking the first spot, just like my boy the ass over here, he didn't get any food. You know, he didn't get anything to eat, and he got told he was an ass. You know, it's like, yeah, man, you were real good. Shoot, what the line say? Why, if I hadn't known you were an ass, I should have turned and run myself. You know, he got laughed at, he didn't even know it, and he got to do all the hard work. He didn't even know it. He didn't get the reward of any of the food. It's just like choosing number 1. You'll get laughed at. You won't know it. You'll get to do all the hard work, take all the hits, put yourself out there on the front line. You won't know it, and there's no capital gain for you to do it, because there's no capital gain against it either. There's no capital gain to do that which is morally right or do that which is chivalrous. There's no capital gain, but there is a gain in the mental state. You feel good if you choose the moral and righteous thing to do. Yeah. Because some people find it easier to follow wherever the big dog leads, you know. That's just the way we do things in this country. A lot of people, they see the person, oh, he must really know what he's doing, and talking at the big dog, he wearing the fancy stuff. I think we talked about this before. So they follow, and it's blind obedience. It's a herd mentality. And at that herd mentality, it's dangerous and detrimental to your health in some cases. Yeah. The other way people give up, and this is all has to do with your freedom. Taking that road on number one, and taking and condoning wars and prejudices and racism and those things that are evil like that, you give up your freedom. You may not think you're giving up your freedom, but you think, you know, that's what's at stake. Your freedom. You chose badly. And the consequences from your bad choices, they could be devastating. But you didn't have to choose that. You could have chose number two, which was a more chivalrous and a morally preferable way to choose things. But it didn't. It's your freedom that you give up. So remember, don't give up your freedom like a blind, obedient herd animal like the ass. You know, if you're going to have to give up your freedom, at least make sure you're getting paid. That's all I can say. I ain't gonna pretend that, you know, some people ain't gonna do this, but at least get paid. Yeah. And the other way people can give up freedom, it is not theirs to choose. You know, you don't have to choose. Yeah? But again, you do have to choose. For those who are victims of the results of the first choice, you chose that choice. Yeah? And if it's a bad choice and everything, the consequences are yours. So you have to deal with those consequences. Okay, I wasn't going to read number two, but I'm going to read it anyway. I'll read it quick. This is the prophet. Alright? A prophet sat in the marketplace and told the fortunes of all who care to engage his service. Alright? You got that? Suddenly, there came running up to one who had told him that his house had been broken into by thieves, and that they had made off with everything they could carry. He was up in a moment and rushed off, tearing his hair and calling down curses on this miscreants, the bad people. The bystanders were much amused, and one of them said, "Our friend professes to know what is going to happen to others, but it seems he's not clear enough to perceive what's in store for himself." That's what happens when you put yourself in line with following in the herd mentality. You become like the prophet, except you're doing the work for somebody else. You know, that somebody else becomes like the thieves that can break in and take your stuff because you're busy out there doing their work that leaves you vulnerable. You know, so you're out there proclaiming all these type of things and everything that has to do with everything that's evil in those things. Nothing, you know, because there ain't much good in prejudice and racism. There ain't no good in it. It's nothing but evil. But you're working hard to bring about the fact that it is evil and that it should be this and it should be that and all these things. And what happens in the interim, you know, you opened yourself to the consequences of that. People start to see you as somebody who's a victim only by your own making in many of the cases, because it's like if you would put more energy into just seeing people as people, you don't have to get rid of your biases or your prejudices or your racism if you don't want to. But if you just take the time out to see people as people, this is going to free up some time so that you can take care of some of the things that you need to take care of. But if you don't want to do that, then you don't have any time. You know, you just sitting around and you're professing all these things, and the bad guy, no, I don't know if he's bad or good, but the guy who's been manipulating you is making all the money and you ain't getting any. You're not even getting any. There's no bone from that pork chop for you to have. I mean, he ate that too. So, I'm just kind of wanting people to really think about the amount of harm that you can actually do yourself by just falling into a trap of trying to please somebody else's mindset. You know, that, and how, you know, it's going to come back on you. Not to say that, like I said, that you don't have the rights to have prejudices. You can have the right to be racist. You can, and yes, folks, everybody can be racist. Please. You got always somebody. White people can talk about black people. Black people can talk about Asian people. Asian people can talk about people from the Middle East. The Middle East can talk about the people from Russia. You can find somebody to talk about. There's a whole lot of people out in this world that you can talk about. And if you run out of some, I'm sure one day we can make up some new ones. We got make-believe zombies that we can talk about. There's somebody that we can talk about. Well, at least I'm not like them, you know, because they're no good. They're evil. Look at them. Look at them. You can tell they're evil. I can tell, you know. So you can have it if you want it, and it's quite all right, because that is a God-given choice that He gives you. You have the right to choose just how stupid you want to be. But folks, I'm going to tell you right from the start, and this is from my heart, right? I'm going to let you know this. There's no cure for stupid. You can't cure it. I'm sorry. I think it's stupid, so personally, I don't think there's any cure for it. But it's yours. I won't hold it against you. You can do it all you want to do. But that's just the way it is. But you know how you combat these kind of racist things and all these things like this? I think there's three means to really that can put down prejudice and racism. There's a physical, an educational, and a political. Right? The physical has little to do with chivalry. You know, you could physically assault people. You can physically stand out there and do things to make other people's life miserable and stuff. You know, you can just try to do that all you want to. And like I said, that's acceptable behavior in this country. But the consequences for some of those actions aren't acceptable. If you give somebody some real physical harm, you gotta pay for that. You know, you gotta go to jail because you hurt something. Some people get away with it too, you know. So the physical has nothing to do with chivalry, but it is a choice that you can make, because it is your choice. The second one was educational. That's another choice. But that one that has a long period of time attached to it. And it's for your children. It's, you know, it's not for you. You can educate yourself right now. You can take it upon yourself to find the education and find other things to fill up that empty void that you have of trying to be pleasing somebody else. You could be a herd animal to astrology. You can be a herd animal to science. You can be a herd animal to mathematics. Or you can be a herd animal to any type of social issue or any type of thing that's going to improve your way of life. You could still follow a herd. Well, that's your choice too. But that's a chivalrous choice too, because in that thing there, the herd has to work together. You know, in order for you to learn, you have to be able to communicate with other people. And to communicate with other people, you have to see other people as people. You know, with worth. Because it's about education. They have to reciprocate in the same manner by seeing you as a person with worth. Because that's how you learn. You know, someone says something and someone else says, yeah, that's right. And how do you know? And then you have a conversation, and this is what comes out of it. Yeah, so then you have the third one is political. This is the one that a lot of people seem to want to choose. But they couple it sometimes with violence, sometimes with education, depending upon your perplexity or whatever your propensity, whatever it is that you want. You know, the choice is a combination of many things. You got social, you got coming people together to build a culture of like-minded people. That's the educational factor that goes with that, you know. You got a like-minded business group that comes together to improve on a city. You know, they come together with architects to build all kinds of different avenues so that the city looks great and makes money for the city. Doesn't do much for the people who live in the city because they can't get the jobs, but that's another story. And then, they built a culture for like-minded people, and you can do it. That's political. And then you got change in the government. That's the one that we kind of do with our voting system. You can change the government. You can vote out anybody you want to. You know, there's no rules that say that you have to vote with the physical. Now, obviously, I don't think the physical is going to do anybody really any kind of good in the long run, because it escalates, you know. And once you become into the physical, then everybody starts to suffer. We don't see it that much in America. We see physical in the way that we have marches and block the street and we put ourselves out like that, and we make a stance and everything. But that's really the political. That's not the physical. That's the political coupled with the physical. The primary mover is a political type of thing. And then there's educational in there too, because you're trying to educate the people that you're bringing this political movement to at the time to see your point of view. So there's an educational part to this too. But in other countries, the physical is more definitely much more devastating than anything else. In other countries that a lot of people really, I think a lot of people should take more interest in what's going on around them in the world. We had a person on the show yesterday who said something that was really profound just for me, the way she said it. She said, there's people that'll swim the ocean to get over to this country. You know, that was profound. Because that says it all. We really have it so nice over here because we have that choice. There's other countries where you don't have that choice. If you don't go along with what the lion says, not only do you have to go into the cave and chase all the goats out so the lion could eat, but when you come out, if he's not done and not satisfied, you're dessert. You know? Because that's just the way some of these other countries have been going through their little metamorphosis. You know, their governments are changing everything, and the people are caught up in the middle. In this country, we're a lot luckier than that. Yes, people die at the hands of some overzealous police officers sometimes. Yes, there's a lot of poverty, and yes, there's a lot of people that are in really sad situations and stuff, and yes, all this is true. But we in this country can invoke education within ourselves. We can have the political in us, and we do have a choice for the political and the physical. We have the choice of these three to try to change the way that we live our lives. I believe that we should go with the educational and the political. I think that combination works the best. I'm not opposed to some physical if it comes in the form of organized physical revolt. I'm not talking about arming yourself and trying to take on the United States military. No, folks, it won't work. You know, you'll have a couple of hours of real great grandeur, but then you'll lose. But if you couple the political and the educational together, you will win. But you have to make that choice. You have to make that choice for the second choice. You have to make that choice, I believe, to be more of somebody who has moral intrinsic worth. You know? And like I said, that's chivalry. A moral intrinsic worth. So I'm going to leave you with those words. Moral intrinsic worth. Y'all think about them. And I'm going to play a little bit of Billie Holiday for you while we're getting on out of here. And thanks for tuning in. Do it again next week. I'll be here, and so won't the great Reverend.